Federal health officials are advising a temporary stop to Johnson & Johnson's coronavirus vaccine. The pause comes as officials investigate a potential connection between its vaccine and blood clots, something reported in 6 people out of nearly 7 million doses administered. Debora Alfarone reports from outside FDA headquarters.
The FDA and CDC recommended a pause in use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine over concerns of rare blood clots. But top White House health officials say there won't be a significant impact on vaccination efforts.
We have more than enough supply of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines to continue the current pace of about 3 million shots per day.
Officials say there have been 6 reported cases of blood clots out of more than 6.8 million doses delivered. 1 woman has died. All 6 cases occurred in women between the ages of 18 and 48, and their symptoms developed 6 to 13 days after receiving the vaccination.
This is a really rare event if you look at what we know so far.
Federal health officials say those who've received the vaccine recently should seek medical attention if they develop any of these symptoms. They also warn using the drug heparin to treat the rare blood clot could be dangerous. The CDC will hold an advisory committee meeting on Wednesday to discuss the 6 cases and next steps. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson released a statement saying that there is no clear relationship between these rare events and the vaccine. The J&J pause also dominated Tuesday's weekly White House COVID response team conference call with state governors.
My hope would be that this is something that is a little bit of a speed bump.
Top administration health officials say the pause could last anywhere from days to weeks. Debora Alfarone, CBS News, Silver Spring, Maryland.
For more, let's bring in CBS News reporter Alex Tin, who has been following the U.S. pandemic response. Hi there, Alex. So as we just heard, there have been 6 reported cases of blood clots linked to Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. That is out of nearly 7 million doses administered so far. Now, the acting FDA commissioner said the pause is expected to last for a, quote, matter of days. But Alex, where does the investigation stand?
Well, thanks for the question. It's interesting because the investigation all started with them identifying this rare pattern of blood clots in recipients of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine right here in the United States, which is one of the first places anywhere in the world that had emergency authorized the use of these vaccines. Now, what makes this combination of blood clots so rare is not only that these 6 cases were what's called CVST. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's essentially a rare type of blood clot that affects a, type of a stroke in the brain combined with low blood platelet counts. And what federal health officials said today was the unique danger of that combination means that doctors need to treat these cases differently. They need to change the way they approach these cases. When they see somebody coming in with blood clots, they need to ask them, number 1, have you received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the past? And number 2, run specific tests to assess whether the standard treatment they would typically give people with these clotting episodes might actually need a different treatment because the standard treatment might actually make their cases worse. So the investigation had occurred when they discovered that there was this concerning pattern. They issued this recommendation for a pause all around the country saying, stop using the doses for now. Here are the recommendations for people that you might get with these clotting episodes. And then tomorrow, the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, which is an independent advisory body that has issued immunization recommendations for the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer vaccines already, will meet to review the evidence, review the data, and potentially issue new recommendations, maybe changing who is recommended to get the doses or when they're recommended to get the doses. So that's really the nature of the pause now. Yes, there is still an investigation. Yes, they're still looking at the data. But really, the pause is to give providers time to catch up on what they need to know in treating these cases, and also to give the ACIP time to deliberate on these updated recommendations.
All right, so Alex, how does all of this stand to impact the Biden administration's vaccine rollout?
Well, at the risk of not trying to conflate 2 different issues, we knew already that Johnson & Johnson was struggling with supply issues. We knew that a key plant that has made up a majority of the planned supply that was supposed to come of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine to the United States, Emergent Biosolutions in Baltimore, is still waiting for FDA approval to release their doses. And what that means is this large amount of doses that were produced from that plant has yet been distributed to the public. And we saw that manifest in the supply allocation numbers we saw for the coming week, where supply was dropping. I think it was 86% of the Johnson & Johnson doses available for states and other localities to order. And so what that resulted in was this is actually a very small slice of the pie of the vaccination campaign that's ongoing right now in the United States. The overwhelming majority of doses that have been administered so far and that are already planned to administer are coming from Pfizer and Moderna. So even if this pause continues for a long time, which we don't think they will, it sounds like they may end this pause soon. But even if this pause were to continue indefinitely, there still seems to be plenty of vaccine supply available, not only to meet President Biden's goals of vaccinating all adults by the end of May, but also to keep up the pace that we've seen so far.
Well, Alex, how are states dealing with appointments scheduled for Johnson & Johnson vaccines?
Well, you saw a whole wave of states addressing that question today in a whole bunch of different ways. Some of them are pretty short term. You have people who are scheduled for doses today who need to be rescheduled for doses. And in some cases, that's pretty easy. Some of them, they've just pushed the doses to later and said, we think this pause might be over soon. We're waiting to hear back more. If you would like to schedule a new appointment, you can. If you want an appointment now, we're going to figure out a way to get you this Pfizer or Moderna dose. But that's not an option for everyone for a few reasons. Because Johnson & Johnson is a single-dose vaccine, unlike Pfizer and Moderna, which requires 2 doses separated over a specific period of time, there are certain populations that are just much harder to vaccinate if you need 2 doses. So it's not a realistic, quick decision to say, okay, this person we were going to vaccinate tomorrow with a single dose, we'll just give them the double dose, because it's possible the reason that you were hoping that person could get the single dose vaccine was it would be hard to get them the second dose within that recommended time frame. So to put it bluntly, there are some appointments that are going to be easy to reschedule, some appointments that will be easy to switch over to Moderna and Pfizer, but that doesn't solve the whole problem, because for a lot of states, they're really dealing with this planning quagmire now of how do you address these difficult populations that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was designed, hopefully, to reach.
Right. So many complicating factors with all of this. Alex Tin for us. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.